Hi there, everyone. Here's some of what's heading your way tonight. Your news at 9.
Local health officials have seen a lot of demand for the Johnson & Johnson single-dose coronavirus vaccine. I'm Zach Dodge with why that might be, coming up.
We're learning more about the mass shooting at an office building in Southern California that left 4 people dead. I'm Anita Vogel in Los Angeles, and I've got the details coming up.
Doug Hetty is weather. Danny Terzer has sports tonight. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey with a number of vaccine options available, and there are a few, right? Some 4-staters are holding out to get their preferred shots. Local health providers say they've had a number of calls and emails from people specifically seeking out the Johnson & Johnson single-dose coronavirus vaccine. KOAM's Zach Dodge has why that might be and how it could have an impact on what doses go where.
Over the last several months, we've heard of vaccine shortages and gone through tiered phases dictating who's eligible for a vaccine. Now health officials are seeing something new.
We have had numerous calls wondering if we were going to have the Johnson & Johnson.
Several residents are specifically seeking out the Johnson & Johnson single-dose coronavirus vaccine. And it's not just in Crawford County or even Kansas.
We got some, we didn't get some. We had a wait list for it because people were refusing the Moderna vaccine.
We got 300 doses and we advertised on our Facebook page, and we filled that clinic within a few hours.
So we went to the Crawford County Health Department,
Ouch.
where a walk-in clinic was held using just the Johnson & Johnson vaccine to see why people showed up.
It's simple, quick, and it's effective, and I'm trying to do my part to slow the spread.
We've seen that Johnson & Johnson is equally effective at preventing death and hospitalization, so we thought it was sufficient, and you only need 1 shot.
It's nice that I get it over in 1 shot versus having to come back, but I was willing to do whatever.
We've had a couple people comment, on that they were really happy. They were waiting. They've been waiting to have the 1 dose available to them.
Crawford County did only have 100 doses sent to them, and other health departments are still waiting to receive more. So they recommend not waiting for a specific brand so that the other vaccine supply sent to the area isn't impacted.
If we're not using the vaccine that is supplied to us, there is a chance that our allotments will get cut back. CDC and KDHE are saying the best vaccine that you can get is the first one that's offered to you.
In Crawford County, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Crawford County Health Department administered 55 doses of vaccine at the clinic. The Crawford County, Kansas Health Officer Chad Stebbins is encouraging every adult to get a vaccine, regardless of the brand. He says since the state entered the final phase, they've had trouble filling appointments, and they're noticing more vaccine hesitancy.
We've done very well recently in the past couple of months, as a matter of fact, as far as our numbers going down. But if we don't continue the effort to vaccinate in our community, I fear that we'll have another spike.
Well, the White House says a setback for Johnson & Johnson is not a setback for the Biden administration, remaining on track to meet its goal to get 200 million shots in people's arms within the first 100 days President Biden is in office. Fox News correspondent Ray Bogan has more on the drug makers' distribution delays, as well as why some see today as a turning point in this pandemic.
For the first time in more than a year, fans are being allowed back inside Wrigley Field. This Major League Baseball opening day marks what some see as a turning point in the coronavirus pandemic. More than a dozen ballparks are welcoming at least some fans back in the stands, with Wrigley capping attendance at 25%.
We're confident we'll get the number above 25%, but today we're just excited to have people in the ballpark.
Even Dr. Anthony Fauci said he's excited to see the return of baseball and hopes to attend a game in person this summer. But right now, he's focused on getting people vaccinated, particularly after this week's setback with drug maker Johnson & Johnson announcing a delay in doses being distributed because of a mix-up with a batch of vaccinations.
It's really quite unfortunate that about 15 million doses now are not going to be able to be used. But you do have checks and balances, and you see that, and that's the reason why the good news is that it did get picked up. And as I mentioned, that's the reason nothing from that plant has gone into anyone.
The White House is beginning a nationwide campaign to encourage vaccinations, complete with TV ads. Vice President Harris asked members of the COVID-19 Community Corps to reach out to communities of color.
We have to be honest that in some communities there is a concern about getting vaccinated. Some based on mistrust, based on history. Some based on just rooted in misinformation, of which there is a lot out there.
There is promising news about the Pfizer vaccine. New studies show it gives at least 6 months of protection. Ray Bogan, Fox News.
Doug Hetty joining us now with the first look at the forecast. Somewhat chilly night, another night in store for us, huh?
Yeah, we're going to go back down near freezing once again. Not quite as cold as what we had during the morning hours, where we started at 28. We made it to 54, but still well shy of where we should be for this time of the year. Frost and freeze advisories in effect once again for us tonight as those temperatures drop back near freezing. Pretty much clear skies, though. There's nothing going on across the entire Central Plains. Most of us are sitting into the mid-40s right now. We'll slide back into the lower 30s later on tonight. But warming up tomorrow, high temp 64. We're going to look at that. The weekend, month-long forecast, all coming up here in just a bit.
All right, looking forward to it, Doug. Thank you so much. Pittsburgh police and fire are responding to an oil tanker stuck in a ditch on North Walnut Street. At this time, authorities have blocked Walnut Street from 18th to 20th. A second tanker was brought in to transfer the oil to reduce the risk of an explosion. There is a push in Barton County, Missouri, to redistricting a few hundred acres of land from the Golden City R3 school district to the Lamar R1 school district. In order for the rezoning to happen, both districts would have to agree by passing the measure on a ballot. Now, to get it on the ballot, at least 10% of the voters who voted in the last school board elections in each district had to approve it. The area in question is roughly 320 acres and is home to only one current student.
I think it's one that communities in both Golden City and Lamar need to be aware of the details involved with it and understand what the vote is. But regardless of which way it goes, I think informed patrons is a very important part of the process.
Voters are going to decide on the rezoning during the elections this coming Tuesday. Police now say they know what prompted the country's third mass shooting in the past 2 weeks. It happened yesterday in Southern California, resulting in at least 4 deaths. Fox News correspondent Anita Vogel has more from Los Angeles.
Police are ramping up their investigation into a shooting that left at least 4 people dead in Southern California.
The suspect has been identified as 44-year-old Amenadab Gaxiola Gonzalez.
It happened at an office building in Orange, a normally quiet community about 30 miles southeast of Los Angeles. Police were called to the scene after gunshots were fired on both floors of the 2-story building. They responded in force, returned fire, and the suspect is now in custody at a local hospital.
The preliminary motive is believed to be related to a business and personal relationship, which existed between the suspect and all of the victims. And this was not a random act of violence.
Police officials say the area is now completely secure and there's no further threat to the public.
Investigators have recovered several items at the scene, including a semi-automatic handgun and a backpack containing pepper spray, handcuffs, and ammunition.
This is the third mass shooting in the U.S. in just the last 2 weeks, following the Colorado grocery store and Atlanta massage parlor shootings. Democrats on Capitol Hill say they're considering new gun control legislation, while the White House looks at other options.
Right now, we're working on a couple of levers. One is working with Congress. We are also continuing to review and consider what the options are for executive actions.
The FBI is also involved in the investigation, but they say the Orange Police Department is taking the lead. In Los Angeles, Anita Vogel, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Woodrow Guard served in the U.S. Army during World War II. Native of Joplin, Guard was given the Purple Heart, also the Bronze Star. We are proud to thank and salute Private First Class Woodrow Guard. He's tonight's four-state hero. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later in sports, Crowder College baseball looking to keep their win streak alive as they take on State Fair.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice day for us today, but it was still on the chilly side after a cold start during the morning hours all the way down into lower 20s, but we did go into the 50s during the afternoon. We had sunshine, which is always nice to see, and we still have clear skies right now and a nice shot of Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Allergies still high on right at the top of the scale, which is typical this time of the year, but we need a nice widespread rainfall to kind of wash out the atmosphere a bit. But on a scale of 1 to 10, today is a 10, tomorrow's a 10. Mainly the tree allergies across the region. But look at our lows last night. We had a pretty good freeze. Most of us upper 20s to near 30 degrees. And then we did warm up into the mid 50s during the afternoon. And then, of course, now we're starting to drop back. 45 Fort Scott, 46 in Welch, 44 in Knoll. Carthage is sitting at 43 degrees. We do have these northerly winds kind of ushering in this cooler air, but look how the winds are starting to crank out of the east and then eventually out of the south later on tonight. So that's going to help us warm up more over the next couple days. But again, frost advisories in effect for us tonight into tomorrow morning, and then we'll be able to put these behind us at least for a week or so, and then we may get some more frost and freezes here in about 10 days or so. But clear skies, nothing going on across the Central Plains. Really out to the west is pretty quiet as well. Weak little wave out toward Las Vegas and Los Angeles, but most of the storm systems out across the Gulf of Alaska, and these will start to affect us by the time we head into next week. So for us tonight, dropping back mid-30s. So again, we're going to have a frosty start, but then we're going to warm up pretty quickly through the 50s to near 60 by noon. And then I think most of us during the afternoon will go into the mid, if not upper 60s in our western counties, Iola, Fredonia, Yates Center, Parsons, Coffeyville, and then everybody else mainly into the low to mid 60s, 63 in Monette, 64 in Anderson. Commerce should make it up to about 67 degrees. So we're going to drop back mid 30s, but you can see clear skies, sunny skies for us tomorrow as we rebound into the mid 60s for highs. Let's go into the weekend. So for us on Saturday, we have a nice southerly wind, even warmer. I think most of us about 66, 67 degrees. Saturday looks pretty good. And then Easter Sunday, we get that weak little wave that is out across the southwest right now. This will give us some clouds, maybe a random shower, but I really think Easter Sunday looks pretty good. We'll start the day at 46. We'll have partly sunny skies all day long, 65 by noon, then a high temp up to 70 during the afternoon. We'll have southwesterly winds at about 10 to 20 as we go into Sunday afternoon. So as we look down the road here, we're going to be warming back up. We do have some storms next Wednesday and Thursday. Some of those could be strong, maybe low grade, severe. We're going to talk more about that in the second half hour when we do the month-long forecast. 64 tomorrow, 67 Saturday, 70 on Easter Sunday.
I'm mad. You said we got more, potentially, more frost and freeze. And
yeah. We got one more little stretch that we got to get through.
All right. Doug Hattie, we'll see you in a little bit. Thanks so much, man.
Okay.
Coming up, a reaction to the president's next big project.
President Biden touting his infrastructure bill. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington, plus his assignment for his new cabinet during their first meeting. All of that coming up.
One day after President Biden laid out his massive $2 trillion infrastructure plan, he met with his cabinet for the first time. But Republicans in Congress still lashing out at the levels of spending proposed by Democrats. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard is in D.C. with more.
President Biden's fully confirmed cabinet meeting for the first time in the East Room. A top meeting agenda item was the American Jobs Plan, a $2 trillion infrastructure bill the president announced Wednesday.
We've got a lot of business to do.
5 members of the president's cabinet have been specifically tasked to help fine-tune the bill, then sell it to Congress and the American people. The White House is trying to frame it as a once-in-a-generation investment, and they want it passed by July 4th. But Republicans say the price tag would leave younger generations with the bill and send taxes skyrocketing.
What we're talking about here is making adjustments to the tax code to make it more fair, to invest in our infrastructure, invest in American workers, so that we can be more competitive over the long term.
For corporations, it would require 15 years of higher tax rates, from 21% to 28%, to offset just 8 years worth of spending.
I think this will hurt the economy. Just being charitable, about 15% of this bill is addressed to infrastructure. The rest is climate subsidies and social welfare spending.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce said they applauded the administration for focusing on infrastructure, but, quote, "We strongly oppose the general tax increases proposed by the administration, which will slow the economic recovery and make the U.S. less competitive globally, the exact opposite of the goals of the infrastructure plan."
The president also directed his cabinet heads to check agency spending. He wants to focus on American-made goods, businesses, and employees, and he wants a full report by the next cabinet meeting. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Just ahead, the latest suspect in an Asian hate crime behind bars.
Hate crimes against the Asian American community continue to rise. I'm Kevin Cork in Washington with more on the latest attack out of New York and what's being done to stop the violence. That's coming up.
The suspect in another violent hate crime against the Asian community is now behind bars. Fox News correspondent Kevin Cork has more about the alleged attacker's troubled past.
Hate crimes against the Asian American community are on the rise. Vice President Kamala Harris is one of many leaders demanding action, meeting with religious leaders ahead of Easter to discuss the spreading of peace and unity.
People turning on each other, treating their fellow human being as the other. And what we have the ability to do to see this moment of crisis in that regard as also an opportunity for coalition building.
This comes as New York City police arrest 38-year-old Brandon Elliott Wednesday. He's accused of attacking an elderly Asian American woman near Times Square on Monday.
Mr. Elliott is accused of brutally shoving, kicking, and stomping a 65-year-old mother to the ground after telling her that she didn't belong here. This brave woman belongs here. Asian American New Yorkers belong here. Everyone belongs here.
Authorities say Elliott was previously arrested back in 2000 for a robbery incident and then again in 2002 for murdering his own mother. Before Monday's attack, Elliott was residing in a homeless shelter just a few blocks away from the scene of the crime. He now faces multiple charges, including assault as a hate crime. And new research shows that Asian Americans are least likely among most groups to report hate crimes to the authorities. In fact, some 30% of them say that they have experienced physical or verbal abuse because of their race. In Washington, I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
All right, when we come back, going to hear the story of how a state trooper, probably more than likely forever, impacted a little boy's life. A Delaware State Police trooper surprising a 9-year-old boy with a new pair of sneakers right there. Trooper Joshua Morris and the boy have gone viral after video surfaced that you're about to see showing the trooper playing some ball with the boy and other children in the community. And that trooper is pretty good too, as we're about to see. All right, after going viral, Morris decided to do something special for the boy. So he contacted the boy's mother and surprised him. Look at him going in his patrol car with a pair of sneakers. And they're just not any sneakers. They're sneakers designed by Golden State Warriors star Steph Curry. But the gift didn't stop there. The trooper also gifted the boy $50. You know, there are some people who view their job as more than a job, right? Awesome job by that trooper. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming your way.
Multiple four-state businesses and their customers are being targeted by online Facebook scammers. And those businesses are speaking out. You'll hear from some of them coming up.
George Floyd's girlfriend takes this stand as Derek Chauvin's trial continues. I'm Jeff Paul in Minneapolis. I've got the details coming up.
Several four-state businesses say they're being impersonated by scammers with fake Facebook pages who are trying to con their customers. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke to business owners in Pittsburgh and Webb City to learn more.
Sweet Designs Cakery, which operates out of Pittsburgh, and Webb City's Ghetto Tacos are just two of multiple four-state businesses who have had bad actors impersonating them with fake Facebook pages.
We spent a lot of time cultivating our Facebook page and growing that for marketing purposes and to keep in touch with our customer base. We've been doing that over 10 years. People trust us.
And violating that trust is key to this scam. Both Sweet Designs Cakery and Ghetto Tacos say scammers have created fake Facebook pages after stealing photos from the legitimate business pages, and then friend-requested local customers or reached out to them when the businesses were offering promotions or giveaways.
The last 3 posts that are giveaways, it's been hacked, and it's just frustrating because, you know, they've been reaching out our customers, sending requests, and that, you know, you'll win some money or give us your credit card and all this, and we don't do that.
Both businesses have posted customer warnings on their Facebook pages. They've also reported these scam pages to Facebook and hope their loyal customers do the same. Although the cakery hasn't been impressed by the social media giant's response.
We've reported it to Facebook multiple ways, every single way we possibly can. So far, I haven't gotten very good response from Facebook.
Captain William Davis with the Joplin Police Department says scams of this nature are one of the most commonly reported crimes to law enforcement. But with the scammers often overseas, local law enforcement is limited. But that won't stop them from frequently warning four-staters to be on the lookout online.
Double check with the business. It might be good to go through another avenue to contact them instead of clicking on that link to take you to that business page. You know, look the phone number up.
In Crawford and Jasper counties, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
Joplin's Blackstone Gastropub is another local business that's warning customers about those fake Facebook accounts impersonating them. Voters in Newton County, Missouri will head to the polls next Tuesday to vote on a new tax levy rate for the county's ambulance district. Current levy rate is a little more than 18 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. If approved, the new rate would be 35 cents. Now, officials with the ambulance district say the levy raise would help pay for new equipment and provide more competitive wages for the district's workers.
Like I said, I have openings right now, and my guys are having to work overtime to staff 6 ambulances. And you know, over the last 30 years, our call volumes increased 275%.
Again, that election is next Tuesday. The 4th day of Derek Chauvin's trial saw more emotional testimony. George Floyd's girlfriend giving jurors a glimpse of his personal life. The court also hearing from a paramedic who responded to the scene of Floyd's arrest. Fox News correspondent Jeff Paul has more.
Another day of emotional testimony in the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. Chauvin is charged with 2nd-degree and 3rd-degree murder, as well as manslaughter in the death of George Floyd. Floyd's girlfriend, Courtney Ross, taking the stand Thursday. She cried while recalling their first meeting at a Salvation Army shelter in 2017.
Floyd has this great, deep Southern voice, raspy. He's like, "Sis, you okay, sis?"
Ross also testified about the couple's struggle with opioid addiction. The defense has argued that drugs in Floyd's system at the time of his arrest were partially responsible for his death. During a cross-examination from defense attorney Eric Nelson, Ross testified Floyd was hospitalized for a drug overdose last March.
At that time frame, did you learn that Mr. Floyd was taking anything other than opioids?
No.
Also taking the stand, Hennepin County paramedic Seth Bravender, who responded to the scene of Floyd's arrest. Bravender says when he arrived, Floyd was in handcuffs with officers on top of him.
From what I could see where I was at, I didn't see any breathing.
His partner believed Floyd was in cardiac arrest, and they moved him into the ambulance. Bravender says Floyd later flatlined while on the way to the hospital.
He was unresponsive and wasn't holding his head up or anything like that.
The trial is expected to last for about a month. In Minneapolis, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
A bit later, going to look more at the struggles of migrants, both before and after they decided to leave for the U.S. border.
Well, it turned out to be a chilly day for us today, but a nice day. We had plenty of sunshine across the region. It's fairly nice out there right now. It's a little bit on the cold side. It's going to get cold once again tonight, but a nice shot of Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, allergies high on a scale of 1 to 10. Today's a 10. Tomorrow is also going to be a 10. Again, these are mainly tree allergies, but they've been high for a couple of weeks. We need a nice little rain to kind of wash out the atmosphere. Look at the lows this morning, upper 20s to near 30. Warm through 30s, 40s, mid-50s. Not bad, but still 10 degrees shy of where we should be. Most of us now are sitting low to mid-40s and we'll drop back about another 10 degrees later on tonight. We have very light northerly winds. We'll look at them starting to switch out of the east and then eventually out of the south later on tonight, and that's going to help us warm up more over the next couple days. Frost and freeze advisories again in effect for us tonight. It's not going to be as cold as what we did have last night, but still cold enough that we'll see a frost. Clear skies here, nothing going on, really nothing going on all the way out to really the west coast. We got weak little wave in the southwestern parts of the U.S., and that will give us some clouds over the weekend. But besides that, we're kind of waiting for these systems out across the Gulf of Alaska. These will really start to affect us by next week. So for us tonight, we'll drop back mid-30s, and then we're going to warm pretty quickly. I think by noon, we'll be near 60 degrees, and then most of us should top out into the mid-60s, 4 highs, about 65 in CJ, 69 in Yates Center, Fredonia 69. Heading south, Monette should go up to about 63, 65 in Seneca, and Commerce also about 67 degrees. So here's your day planner for you. Cold start, mid-30s, plenty of sunshine all day long as we bounce into the mid-60s during the afternoon. Gets even a little bit warmer on Saturday. I think most of us upper 60s, 4 highs. Heading into Easter, we are going to get some clouds. Very slight chance there could be a random shower, but overall, I think Easter Sunday is going to be spectacular. We'll start in the mid-40s during the morning, 65 by noon, then a high temp up to 70 during the afternoon. So it actually looks pretty good for us by Sunday afternoon. 64 tomorrow, 67 Saturday, 70 on Sunday. Look at our warming all next week, 70s to near 80, but thunderstorm chances on Wednesday and Thursday, so we'll have to watch that. All right, it's April, if you can believe it already. So in my pattern, we're already in the 5th cycle. It's a 46-day cycle, so every 46 days we go to the next cycle, but this pattern is going to last until September. We're in severe weather season. The second half of April, that's when things really start to get active. So recapping next week, we have those chances for thunderstorms all the way through Thursday. Some could be strong, maybe severe on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll keep our eyes on that. And then turning cooler but nice heading into next weekend, but we are going to have a cooler spell. So this was Jordan, the week I was talking about that we could see another frost, is that 11th through 17th. We have plenty of chances for rain almost every day all week. Kind of cool. I don't think any of this will be severe weather. Just kind of a crummy week. The third week, we start to look better. We warm up. We'll have 80s for highs. We only have one chance for thunderstorms, and that's on Tuesday, which would be the 20th. Now, some of those could be strong to severe, but the best chance for severe weather rolls in that last week. On that Sunday, the 25th, the 28th, 29th, and right at the beginning of May, we're going to have about a week stretch that it gets really, really active. And that's when we really need to be paying attention. So the worst of the severe weather is still 3 or 4 weeks away.
Short term, Easter looks pretty perfect.
Yeah, Easter looks great. Get outside and enjoy it.
Definitely. All right, Doug Hetty, thank you as always. Coming up in sports, this opening night for the MLB, going to have highlights from the Royals and Cards. Plus, Crowder College trying to get their 17th straight win against State Fair.
The win streak continues for Crowder baseball. The Rough Riders picked up their 16th win in a row earlier this week against Fort Scott. Their last loss was nearly a month ago. This afternoon, Crowder hosts a doubleheader against State Fair. In Game 1, pitch comes in, skips up. That will give Dylan Thompson time to score. 1-0, State Fair. Then, Jack Stroth at the plate with 2 outs. He sends it through. Landry Wilkerson scores to cut State Fair's lead in half. It's 2-1. Crowder rallying in the 6th, Rod Chris with a hit. Trey Harris showing off his wheels. He makes it home to tie it up at 2. Chris will go on to score the game-winning run. Crowder takes Game 1, 3-2. Crowder keeps it going, sweeping the doubleheader with the Game 2 score of 9-4. Logan Chambers heats up. He tallies a home run in this one, totaling 3 hits, 3 runs, and 2 RBI. High school baseball features an interstate matchup today between Frontenac and Carl Junction. The Bulldogs are 5-2, aiming to rebound after a loss. Frontenac has yet to play, kicking off their season on the road. Carson Johnson takes the pitch to the leg. That brings home Keaton Johnston. CJ leads by 1 after 4. To the 5th, Noah Southern with the shot to the shortstop. The throw to first is high. Southern makes it safe. Then Alex Baker with a hard hit. Third baseman can't handle it. That sets up runners on first and second. Brendan Downs, grounder will get him the RBI here. Next batter, it's going to be a wild pitch. Alex Baker on the run. Beats the ball home. CJ up 3. Bulldogs go on to win it 6-1. And 6-1 Joplin Eagles head down to Neosho. The Wildcats are coming off their first win of the season. We'll pick this one up in the 4th. Joplin's pitcher Ethan Golford drives it up the line. Scoring is Cole Cooper. Then Alex Curry looks like he hits into a double play, but there's an error. He'll reach first and Bodie Carlson scores. Eagles up 2-1. Bottom of the 7th, last effort for Neosho. Jose Ortega gets a hit through the gap. Wyatt Kepler scores. Wildcats tie it to force in 8th inning. Eagles, though, come alive, winning 7-2. Major League Baseball is back. It's opening day, and the St. Louis Cardinals are in Cincinnati to kick things off. Jack Flaherty starting on the mound for the Cards. Nolan Arenado gets a base hit up the middle. Paul Goldschmidt scores. Cards lead 7-1 in the second. Later, Tyler O'Neill sends this one soaring. 2-run home run. St. Louis finishes it off, winning 11-6. The Royals also opening up their season today at home against the Texas Rangers. In the 4th, Jorge Soler crushes this ball. Solo home run to tie up the game at 8. Then Michael Taylor knocks it up the middle. Hunter Dozier from 3rd scores to give the Royals their first lead. Royals kick off the season with a win at home. Final is 14-10. We'll be right back with more news.
The president is still saying very little about his first major domestic crisis, the immigration surge at the southern border. We are hearing new information about the struggles some of the migrants are enduring. Fox News senior correspondent Casey Stiegel has the latest now from Texas.
They're not just statistics. Behind every apprehension at the southern border, a story. Whether it's this pregnant woman who traveled weeks from Honduras or a 6-month-old rescued by Texas Rangers after they say smugglers threw the infant into the river and broke her mother's leg.
They've had a lot of trauma coming here. We need to not further traumatize them.
No easy task, say immigration rights advocates, especially considering the crowded and unsanitary conditions that have been described at some of the processing sites and temporary overflow facilities. However, leaders say they're working with what they've got.
This may not be the Marriott Resort, but it's clean, it's air conditioned, it's climate controlled, and it's regulated in a very good way that we separate COVID patients away from the young boys that do not have it.
The White House, meantime, vows to help stop the surge by going straight to the source. Today, Vice President Kamala Harris spoke with the president of Guatemala by phone, working on, quote, innovative ways to keep migrants from making the journey.
They leave because there is a lack of opportunity or it is just not safe. And so my area of focus on the Northern Triangle is to deal with some of those issues.
Though some Republicans argue the focus should be on stricter policies.
We can't just put the welcome mat out for anybody and everybody in the world who wants to come to the United States because we'll be overwhelmed.
While on Instagram,
just gut check, stop.
Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez slammed those using the word surge to describe the influx.
These are children, and they are not insurgents, and we are not being invaded.
We should note that AOC did not offer any solutions to the problem in that Instagram post. By the way, we are getting new numbers in from the federal government, and as of Wednesday night, they say more than 18,000 migrant children are in U.S. custody. That's the latest from Eagle Pass, Texas, along the Texas-Mexico border. Casey Stiegel, Fox News.
Gonna check out this week's new movie releases when we come back. a monster movie, a scary movie, and more. We have a look at this week's new releases. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
Godzilla vs. Kong is in theaters and on HBO Max.
Maybe the most visually interesting fights that we've seen so far for many of these films. And the human characters, while there are a lot of them, there are always giant ensemble casts in these monster movies, the story is very coherent. It's more coherent, I would say, than maybe the previous Godzilla movie. There is a Team Godzilla, there is a Team Kong, there is some nefarious stuff that's going on in the middle.
My plan was to die before the money ran out.
French Exit heads to more theaters nationwide, led by Michelle Pfeiffer.
An aging Manhattan socialite who was living off of a lot of money, and then the money ran out. And she has nothing really left of her inheritance. And so she has to move into a small Paris apartment with her son and their cat. And some darkly hilarious stuff ensues from there.
She's here. The horror flick The Unholy is in theaters.
I ain't got no home here.
That's your choice.
Netflix adds Concrete Cowboy.
Idris Elba, Caleb McLaughlin, who you may know from Stranger Things, Method Man, is also in it. And it has a familiar story at its core. A son who leaves home to go sort of try to reignite this estranged relationship that he has with his father. Actually does something that's very unique. He is what they call an urban cowboy, an urban horseback riding. These guys that ride through the streets of North Philadelphia on horseback. There are some real life urban cowboys that are also in the film.
Netflix also has its new #1 movie, The Prank-Filled Bad Trip. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That is our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Going to leave you tonight with video of tigers in a zoo in Thailand getting a cool down, getting some icy treats. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you there.